Welcome to Wendy's World. This is a visual podcast to accompany our May online exhibition which celebrates the life and work of Wendy Ramshaw. Wendy Ramshaw had an outstanding career, and what we're going to do is use her words to give you more insight into her work. I would like to thank her husband, David Watkins, and their assistant, Emma Farnworth, for their input and support. Wendy Ramshaw is an international champion of modern jewellery. The Scottish Gallery has represented her since the late 1980s. I'm going to refer to some of the works from the gallery collection, which include significant examples from her remarkable career spanning over 6 decades. The gallery has exhibited some of her most ambitious ideas through exhibitions such as Picasso's Ladies, 1989, Room of Dreams, 2002, Prospero's Table, 2004, and A Journey Through Glass, 2007. Room of Dreams, which was designed and created as a theatrical stage set for the jewellery, has become significant not only in Ramshaw's stellar career, but also illustrates the commitment from the gallery to truly original ideas. Wendy Ramshaw remains one of the most significant and distinguished contemporary jewellers that the UK has ever produced, and her art continues to amaze and delight. Beautiful, enigmatic, and technically brilliant. Her work is held in over 70 public collections worldwide. Prospero's Table now sits on public display at the Museum of Fine Arts in Houston, Texas. In March 2020, the Goldsmiths Company acquired her 3-cone necklace, which was a necklace made during her Wedgwood residency in 1981. She wore it to the opening of her exhibition at the Victoria and Albert Museum later that year. Born in Sunderland in 1939, Wendy initially studied illustration and fabric design before embarking on a career in jewellery. Her early work was created from paper and plastic, the wearer integral in the process, making paper jewellery designs from a flat cutout pattern. After completing a postgraduate qualification in jewellery from Central School of Art and Design and establishing her studio in London in 1970, she began working predominantly in silver and gold, creating a distinctive minimalist style, which earned her the Council of Industrial Design Award in 1972. Wendy Ramshaw's work also encompasses designs for textiles, screens, gateways, and major sculptural works. Above all, it is her signature ring sets, which remain synonymous with her work. I'm now going to draw on Wendy's personal insights into her work. I enjoy making jewellery, I enjoy looking at jewellery, and I enjoy wearing jewellery. These are, in simple terms, the real reasons why I'm an artist whose main means of expression have become the creation of jewellery. I make objects whose function it is to decorate the human body, and I am also concerned that these terms can be enjoyed out of context with the human form and have at times deliberately devised means by which this can be achieved. How, when, or where my work is worn is not particularly important to me, precisely because it is out of my control. There is often humour in my work, though I regard it as a serious activity, as a means of expression, and as a way of earning a living. To be able to earn a living in the arts is a privilege, although it is often very hard work, but nonetheless worthwhile. I like to think that on any one day, women in various parts of the world are putting on my jewellery and that it is giving them pleasure. Making jewellery is not a life-giving activity like growing food. It is a response to the ancient human need for body decoration. It has meaning, particularly for me. I have worked on commissions for small children, for young women, for older women, and for men. I have made commissions for people who almost never wear jewellery and have no interest in contemporary design. I have made work for collectors who love jewellery and are amongst the most informed people on the subject. I have made jewellery for people who saved for a long time and will only ever buy one piece, and those who commission several valuable items at one time. Each has equal value. In 1969, I gave up teaching and all other design activities to concentrate on making precious jewellery in my own studio. In 1973, David Watkins and I shared an exhibition at Goldsmiths Hall. It included a series of pieces where the usual surface shine on the metal had been eliminated by sandblasting. Most of my work is drawn to exact dimensions before it is translated into metal. This is not a design process as I would understand it, in that it is not a simple matter of sketching out an idea and then perfecting it through further drawing and thought, but a case of getting the drawing right first time and working from that. The machine shop holds industrial equipment and bears little resemblance to an artist's studio. It is a place which has more a feeling of work than of thought. If work can be produced with great speed and accuracy using machine, then as far as I am concerned, there is little virtue in doing it less well by hand. Sometimes there has been comment on the apparent influence of Egyptian art on my work. In my mother's home, there was a brass table, probably made in Birmingham at the time of the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb, a sort of sub-Art Deco artifact. As a child, I used to spread paper on its surface and with a pencil make rubbings until the fingers appeared arranged in formal rows, surrounded by signs and symbols. An uncle returning from the Far East when I was about 10 years old brought me a gift of one of the first stereoscopic Viewmasters. I was bored by it, except for one series of pictures which I looked at hundreds of times. They showed treasures from the tomb of Tutankhamun on display at the Cairo Museum. There are endless possibilities for using different kinds of shapes and forms to make jewellery. There is an amazing variety of materials and an ever-expanding number of techniques. To help me to decide on a particular direction in my work, I must look closely at my own reasons and impulses so as to make the right and natural choice for myself as an artist. I work with all materials as if they are precious. They are, because I am using them to make ornament to be worn by another human being as a form of their self-expression. The making of such work is both a serious and joyful task. I choose to manipulate small elements achieving effects which are on one level simple and on the other complex. I like abstract form and care about a sense of surface. I am fascinated by the concept of visual rhythm. Finally, I hope that jewellery and personal ornament can become again as essential a part of life as dance and music, both popular and progressive, and art for everyone. Once, I only made small objects, pieces of jewellery. They were, in their way, site-specific. The site on which they were to exist was the body. Now I also make large objects, including gates, doors, mobiles and screens. The sites they occupy can be found within buildings or gardens. The increase in scale from very small pieces to very large objects has appeared to me to be a seamless development. Site-specific, large-scale works involve working with both a client and a team outside of my studio. The final work eventually fulfills a need beyond my own. I work to a brief and extend my imagination to reach a solution. A finished work has its place in the wider world and many people may enjoy it. In 1969, I designed pillar rings. They arose out of my use of the lathe as a tool central to thinking and aesthetic. I perceived many kinds of cuts and patterns as being possible in advance of using the lathe, but the real vocabulary of turning, the spacing and the balance developed as the lathe revealed to me its own logic and rhythm. I allied this to my own natural feeling for balance and proportion. The result was a long series of pieces and an ongoing interest in the results of the turning technique. It presents me with the precision I need and makes contact with a 20th century vision, technology and ornament uniting. An exhibition catalogue for the Pace Gallery in 1970, illustrating turned pendants and rings, developed this visionary theme. They were depicted through montage as huge objects set in or against industrial and rural landscapes. The ring is the most intimate and personal form of jewellery, which is enjoyed by both the wearer and the observer. The stands for sets of rings are unique to the works of Wendy Ramshaw. The first Perspex stands were made in the late 60s and did not screw apart because only the bottom section existed for the rings to sit upon. The concept of the ring set as a sculptural work to be enjoyed when not being worn was at the time regarded as innovative. Stands are often similar as they are produced for the less extraordinary rings in related series. The stands for special pieces are completely unique to the work which is mounted upon them. Sometimes it may be that the stand and ring are of equal importance. I use stones for their beauty and colour. Their translucence or opacity are important, as is their size. I like small stones in a variety of colours and sizes. The rainbow moonstones I use may or may not be rare. To me, they are beautiful and strange, and that is their true value to me. In 1981, I was offered a small exhibition of my work in the jewellery gallery at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, and I decided to develop ceramics for jewellery. Shirley Burry encouraged me to approach Wedgwood. I thought their industrial technology, finely developed clay bodies, and highly controlled firing would achieve a technical perfection not possible in my own studio. I made approximately 100 drawings for Wedgwood and waited for the beads and shapes to arrive. I soon abandoned the drawings and began working directly with the units, assembling jewellery by trial and error, unlike anything I had arrived at through the process of drawing. I made sets of brooches which were to be worn in varying arrangements on any part of the body. I recognise that scale is an element to be considered and reckoned with when making jewellery. I think jewellery should ideally read well from a distance and also be of interest close to. Jewellery, unlike most other art forms, certain kinetic art being an obvious exception, has a life of its own. As the wearer approaches, turns and moves, light falls upon the piece. It is fully seen, half seen. It is a portable art form. For some years, I have been thinking of the possibility of working with a series of portraits of women. Picasso immediately occupied my mind and began to spark my imagination. I had many of his pictures in my vast collection of postcards bought in museums all over the world, and I began to buy more of them, especially the portraits, whenever I saw them. From these I selected images of women which expressed their beauty and their individuality. They seemed content and self-possessed, relaxed and at ease with themselves and the world. Amongst these painted ladies were Picasso's favourite models and women with whom he had emotional relationships. I looked for the images which would inspire a piece of jewellery. It might be the sense of rhythm and form and flow of lines, the dispersion or choice of colour, or just the sheer presence of a woman on the canvas. I began to see how showing both eyes in a profile made for a wider distance between the bridge of the nose and the hairline above the ear. I saw how this wider area affected the back of the head and neck until the distortion was assimilated and rebalanced within the image. It was like magic. I was given new proportions to work with. This combined with the emotional power within each image worked to spark pieces of jewellery. Each was inspired by a portrait. Some enabled me to redevelop the form like the ring set and expand upon its theme. Long enamelled bead necklaces in gold or silver or combinations of both have been made since 1972. The cylindrical beads, turned on a lathe and enamelled with vitreous enamel, were, in the first instance, designed as parts of the necklaces made to support enamelled pendants. They were so beautiful in themselves that they were soon being designed as pieces in their own right, as long, thin strip necklaces, laboriously made, always unique, but eminently easy to wear. These chains are amongst the most beautiful things made in my studio. They're always a delight to work upon. Although the pace is slow, the work is enjoyable and exciting when finished. I like to compare the making to painting a picture in that I usually have a plan of how the beads will be coloured and be strung. However, it will be a slowly evolving piece which attempts to demonstrate some logic or some deliberately random effect. Unlike a great deal of my work which follows an exact drawing, the details of this work are only resolved while it is being created. It is rare for more than 2 or 3 of these necklaces to be made in any one year.